This is my go-to T-spine or thoracic spine or upper back mobility protocol that I've been using for overhead pressing, or if I feel a little bit tight before I do any kind of striking, boxing or kickboxing, because I think it's important to remember that striking is an overhead movement. So first you roll out the lower back, then the upper back. If you have access to, or if it doesn't feel uncomfortable for you, I'd like you to go ahead and grab a 25-pound plate and use that just to get a little bit more intensity with the myofascial release with your shoulder area. Once again, if you can, go ahead, double up, grab two of those guys. One other note, if you have access to a harder roller or a spiky roller, they're sometimes called rumble rollers, I'd suggest you use that style for your myofascial release. So after I do 1 to 3 minutes of myofascial release, I'm going to go into a kneeling T-spine stretch. I have the point of my elbows driven into the bench. I'm far back enough to where my head can fall between my arms. You'll also notice I do not have a downward curve in my lower back. I'm keeping my abs somewhat tight so that I avoid lumbar extension, and I'm thinking about sitting my butt down towards my heel at an angle. If you have a dowel or a mobility stick like that, go ahead and grab that guy roughly shoulder width apart. Keep a firm enough grip so that your hands don't slide together. While you're performing this stretch, I want you to consciously think about your breathing. Inhale deeply, and then when you exhale, I want you to try to push a little bit closer towards the floor. Do this mobility for about 90 seconds. After completing 1 to 2 minutes of the kneeling T-spine stretch, go ahead, get into a quadruped position, keep the midsection somewhat tight, and perform 5 to 10 T-spine mobilities each side. When you perform these, try to not compensate at the hip. Think about actively driving the palm of one hand into the floor as you stretch, reaching your elbow to the ceiling.